some people look at it and say high risk, high reward. No, those kind of plays, they're dumb because it's so risky, it'll never work. Other players look at it and they say, oh, high reward, this is what you always go for because that saves the day. But in the end, you will get some sometimes and some the other times.
Right, it's just about how good the player is in that playstyle. Someone like Huni, high risk, high reward playstyle looks fantastic because he's such a dominant force. Mickey trying to level up to get to that point.
All right, let's go ahead, head into Champion Select, see how they're going to take this one in terms of the approach. Zoe banned away by 100 Thieves. Rise also banned away. Pretty heavy mid lane focus coming out here towards Mickey. Kog'Maw and Ornn, the bans on the side of TL.
Yeah, absolutely. 100 Thieves targeting what they perceive to be the best mid laner. Hard was someone who had a bit of a rough game yesterday. Got taken advantage of a little bit by Moon. So it was understandable that they struggled then with Mickey also not stepping up and dominating the way quite we had seen before. But doesn't mean 100 Thieves isn't scared of him.
All right, final ban for TL. A little bit of an oddball here, Poppy.
Yeah, we did see it once last week. I don't remember if it was actually from 100 Thieves who played it. I'm going to assume that's the case.
Yeah, you would hope.
Yeah, maybe they...
Not a very common ban right now, Mark.
No, maybe they scrimmed against them a little bit last week. They know Poppy is 100% up Kaizen's alley, but I do believe it was Kaizen who played it last week. So, like we saw the Urgot against CLG Academy banned out. Same kind of thing here. Get rid of those oddball picks. You're not really sure.
Ban it if you don't know it. Ban it if you don't know it. Azir going to be banned away by 100 Thieves, the final ban of the first phase, though. 3 bans, 3 mid laners. A lot of respect to Mickey. Malzahar still available, but the first pick for TL was the Trist.
Yeah, a little surprised not to say, hey, if you're going to ban that much stuff, we'll just take the best remaining option. And the only 80 carry ban was Kog'Maw, so Ezreal's going to be fine. 100 Thieves actually grabbing Gnar and Taliyah, kind of already setting up the split push core that you sometimes see up here. So Viper, they think, might have a little bit more limited of the champion pool maybe. Gnar, they think, will be safe into most of his champions. And then you already have Taliyah who's going to be joining up on the top side.
Interesting to see the Taliyah picked up like that with that Malzahar still available. I mean, even Vlad the next tier under, but if you want to go for those rotations, like you said, that split pushing game when Taliyah can just ride the wall across the map makes things pretty easy. Second lock-in on the side of Team Liquid is going to be that Sejuani. Big tanky jungler, powerful presence. We see her all over the place. Not really surprised that one's coming out just yet. And the mid laner for Team Liquid Academy is... Don't make me hold it that long.
You're going to hold it for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to hold it for a while.
So maybe the Malzahar, maybe the Galio. That'd be crazy. Haven't seen that in a while. Could be going up in the top side, but I assume you don't want to play that into Gnar. So I will go ahead and declare that a mid lane Galio.
All right, mid lane Galio. Mark has said it, so that's what it's going to be.
It's a champion that I think makes a lot of sense given TL's what they're playing against currently and what Viper likes to do. Obviously, a more solo queue mindset, played that Riven before, wants to play more split push focus. So if Taliyah is going to be going up to the top side a lot, Galio's a great champion for matching that. Builds a lot of MR, so doesn't get poked out by Taliyah quite as easy. If she wants to ride the wall up, Galio can easily follow with his own grand entrance, and so you get a lot of these kind of 2v2s in the side lanes. But 100 Thieves doubling down, grabbing the Rengar.
All right, we're talking about rotating around the map. We're talking about getting all over the place. Well, get the guy that goes invisible. Get the guy that runs fast. Get the guy that jumps out of bushes.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising to see that they would go for that right now. There's no jungle bans. The Sejuani was taken, so maybe a couple come in, but we haven't seen too much priority on the Rengar ban. I guess they just wanted to lock that one away. Want to hold their bot lane to see exactly what they're going to be playing up against. The Riven ban does come in, so giving a little bit of respect. Maybe not just because of the Riven, but like we said, that Galio to back it up.
I'm glad you recognized what champion icon that was, because since it was backwards because it's on red side, and I've never seen a Riven ban ever before.
And the screen's like,
and the screen's pretty tiny. I was looking at it, I was like, is there a new champion in our game that I didn't know who it was? Because that icon was throwing me off. Camille also going to be banned away. Other side of the table, it's supports for dinner as Alistair and Braum are removed.
Yeah, so taking away some of the beef down the bot lane forces 100 Thieves Academy to go. Go for Lulu. So kind of ending up without the typical supports. This does work pretty well with Rengar, gives them that speed up in team situations, can become a very annoying. And as a result, looks like TL is also going to be going away from the beefy bot laners. Grab that Janna. Saw it once last week with CLG in the main LCS, and it did not go particularly well, but we'll have to see here against Lulu. And
is this
the Yasuo counter pick into Gnar top, baby?
Yeah, okay. It's not Riven, but it is Yasuo. That's part of the holy trinity of solo queue tilt.
Yeah,
all we need now is a main.
Yeah, Vayne. Zed, is Zed in the Trinity somewhere? Or is he like kind of the...
Zed's been dead for 2 years.
He's like an apostle or something.
Zed's dead.
Okay.
He's a...
Hey, you wanted it, you got it.
We got it! We got the Vayne! I did it! I am the predictor now, wherever the camera is I'm supposed to be pointing at.
Yeah, I won.
We're the... predicted the Vayne. So we get to see both Yasuo and Vayne in the same game. This is going to be great.
Oh, God. When I saw the Rengar, I was like, in the double, you know, tanky support bands, I was thinking, well, this is a great game for people who want to go and just chew through people very easily. Lulu and Janna, not going to have a fun time this game. Up against the split pushers, up against the engagers with Rengar. There's going to be some blood this game. This is going to be a fast-paced game, I think.
Yasuo's wind wall doesn't do anything to Talia's ultimate, does it? Because it's not a projectile, it's like a terrain creator.
I'm not sure because can't Braum block it? I'm almost positive Braum can get in the way of it.
See, I'm not sure. This is why I asked. This is what we got to figure out.
I would have to double check.
I don't think it works. I think Talia just makes the wall through the thing.
We'll find out, hopefully.
Yep, we'll figure it out one way or the other, but I do want to see how well Viper utilizes the wind wall in this game because the wind wall on Yasuo is just one of the single most game-impacting basic abilities in any champion, right? I mean, proper use of that during a team fight can completely negate the damage output from Linsanity or Rikara or even both.
Right, absolutely. I mean, Vayne is a notoriously short-range champion in the sense where she doesn't, you know, her auto-attack range isn't what makes it short. It's just that she has no other abilities to throw out. You know, Galio's melee, but hey, he has a Q, so he doesn't feel as short range. And if, you know, this Yasuo pick is able to position well and force these wind walls where the enemy carries then have to miss position to even hope of getting damage in, that's a very powerful tool, like you're saying.
Yeah, Vayne's kind of like the ranged version of what you were talking about with Jax last game, where everything's just based around her auto attack range. It's not like she's contributing a bunch of other tools and utility and resources. It's just, hey, I do a lot of damage if I can hit you with my thing.
And it works super well against Gnar. One of the reasons this counter pick is so great is because Gnar in mini form is much squishier than mega form. So with the number of dashes that Yasuo has available to him, you can stick to the mini Gnar form. Yes, infinity. As long as there are creeps, there are dashes. As well as the fact that a lot of his damage comes from his boomerang. And so what the wind wall does is it breaks his boomerang, so he can't get the cooldown refund on catching his boomerang. You stick to him like glue. Doesn't matter if he gets a hyper proc, you're fast. And so it's this very, very annoying matchup for Gnar where a lot of what makes him great is negated by Yasuo's kit. And we see the fleet footwork that he's going for, opting to get some of that early regen in available for him.
Fleet footwork Yasuo means there's going to be a lot of outplay potential too. Just having that extra movement speed to just reposition yourself ever so slightly, maybe get the right angle on one of your dashes as opposed to being a little bit off. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Viper plays this one as Kitsuo moves into the enemy jungle at level 2. Does see Hard hanging out there, but considering Hard's already buffed up with doubles, Kitsuo knows there's not a lot left to really fight over.
Yeah, it's a pretty smart path out of Hard, knowing that the Rengar wants to be aggressive early on, just goes buff to buff, doesn't want to risk losing any of those. He can pick up his camps later on. And up in that top side, we see Kaizen going with Airy, which is something that's interesting because last game, Shiro had gone with the fleet footwork as well. So you sometimes see that in matchups where they think they're going to eat a lot of harass. Kaizen not opting for it. Not sure the Airy will work out better. We'll have to see.
It's one of those kinds of things that you get to sort of leave up to player judgment, right? Some Gnars like to go for the fleet footwork. Some like to, I've seen press the attack before. Sometimes you even grasp the Undying. Sometimes it's Airy. And the Airy one, it's all about the laning. It's all about the early. It gives you the extra poke. You don't really get anything out of the defensive aspects of it because you're Gnar and you don't have a lot of defensive tools. But just wanting to make sure that when that poke does land, it counts for something. I like the fact that Kaizen also going for that Dorian shield in lane, really respecting Viper, knowing that this is a counter pick, knowing that he's going to need to play it carefully.
Absolutely. Bot lane, we'll see how much fun we can have down here. 2 range supports, both going for that Frost Queen's Claim line of support items. No coins, no Targons down here.
Nope. Well,
there are 80 carries, come on!
8.1, yeah, spicy fleet footwork memes. All right, fight in the jungle. Hard versus Kitsuo. Hard trying to save the stun to use it when Kitsuo doesn't have his CC break. Kitsuo forced to use both the break and the flash to get away from that one.
Yeah, it was nice because he was able to, by not pressing W, you actually don't let him get the speed up either. So it's kind of annoying for him, and it allows the other champions to start getting in range, eventually gets the stun, but like I said, forced to flash. We also got confirmation. Windwall will block Talia ult, so it does work like Brahms.
Today I learned. Okay, so if we see Linsanity making a wall, it is entirely possible, if Viper is close enough to it, to block that off, stop that wall ride. Viper sitting pretty comfortably in top lane right now. Remember we talked back in game 1 when we saw Gnar versus GP, we were talking about like, oh yeah, Gnar taking the advantage early, farming up more, having lane priority. Like, this is typical Gnar day. Well, this is not a typical Gnar matchup.
No, absolutely not. Down the bot lane, not a typical matchup either. Lulu and Janna is something we all saw plenty of during Worlds with the Ardent meta. And the matchup isn't really too different now. Lulu generally seen as a bit stronger of a laner, can shove in if she really wants to. A little bit more difficult given that she's paired up with Vayne here, but does have some harass potential into the Janna. And then at level 6, still pretty useful with the 2v2 potential, but as the team fights come on, usually Janna is seen as the superior pick.
Shield for shield on these two as they trade auto attacks back and forth. Ricaro really wanting to just be aggressive whenever he gets the chance to be, but at the same time, his opponents are having none of it. I mean, you look at Shoryu and you look at Joey, and as soon as Ricaro tries to flex those muscles, they just say, nope, they shield up, they fight back.
Yeah, there's a lot of trading tools on the side of both teams here. Throw that W down, slow the Vayne up, throw some tornadoes out there, shield coming in for both Lulu and Janna. And of course, you have the fleet footwork with the relic shield, so plenty of sustain as well.
All right, Linsanity moving up here. Trying to scare hard out of his own jungle as he just moves back to farm up his wolves now. Scryer's Bloom fired off to keep an eye on him. Viper heading back up into the top side. Goes for the Ninja Tabbies first, knowing his opponent's going to do the same thing. Ninja Tabbies are so darn effective against something that relies heavily on auto attacks for its damage that it's hard to pass them up.
Yeah, absolutely. And given that Yasuo will start getting all those free crits, you start subtracting a huge amount of damage as he builds more items. So just grab it right away. You're going to want it the entire game. No surprise to see Kitsuo, or Kaizen, excuse me, going for that one. And also worth pointing out that it's been a little while since we've seen some Galio. I think it has seen play in some other regions, but this is no longer the full tank mid lane Galio that you saw at Worlds. They buffed a lot of the AP ratios before taking those back down again. He's been through quite a few changes. And so what you see a lot of the build going now, they get that Proto Belt, helps them get in range for some more engage tools and CC, but you still need to build AP, generally speaking, on the Galio these days.
Plus Proto Belt, it gives you the active. It gives you a little bit of extra burst. I mean, Galio likes to find himself in the middle of the fight still with the taunts and with the hero's entrance. So if you can get in the middle of the fight and just fire off that extra AoE, really, really nice for him. Feels good to have that item and find success with landing that as Mickey goes in for the trade against Linsanity. And just that one combo takes Linsanity down to just a little bit over half.
Yeah, something you have to be very careful of as the damage starts ramping up. Galio will probably build some extra MR, and generally speaking, Talia doesn't. So trades could get even worse if the Talia is not careful.
Kitsuo coming up to the top part of the map here, seeing maybe if he can do anything, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Viper just continuing to play this ever so aggressively hard. Level 6 against Kitsuo's level 5. A Sejuani ultimate versus no responding ultimate on the Rengar means this will favor that Sejuani.
As well as having the Galio in the mid lane, a little bit easier to get involved in any of these skirmishes that break out.
Or trading back and forth in the bottom lane. Very aggro from Shoryu, who decides to go in and look to force this 2v2. Stopwatch is going to be used by both AD carries, but it's Wyan who goes in and grabs himself the first blood, killing that enemy Tristana. But now the reinforcements have arrived for TLA, and Viper's grabbing himself the kill off that one. Insanity trying to clean something up here into the back line. Meganar going to be stopwatch. Very nice moves by Joey. Barely getting himself away with the flash after the seismic shove looks to end him as Viper goes after Ricaro, but the flash into the stab doesn't work. All that was missing was the mastery emote.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. He actually had the third proc of his Q up, so he would have had a tornado, but it timed out just as he went for that play. Really unfortunate. Now, surprised to see both teams commit all their resources down to that skirmish. It was no surprise to see the initial teleports come in, but Linsanity was fine showing up late to this fight that was kind of initiated by TLA, jumping onto the Vayne once they got the E-bomb to go off. Committing really hard here. Not level 6 yet for either support, so they can't really contribute too much here. And
both stopwatches.
all the stopwatch is going to go off here. They're going to get the kill. Wyann's out of position, realizing the Vayne's out of there, can't get her. Good decision to hand this off to the Yasuo.
Yep.
He gets the kill, but then this is where I was surprised that they're still going in. You see the Gnar flash in, trying to get down on the Joey there. Really nicely timed flash and Hourglass to stay alive. And then Viper, you saw he had that aura up, ready to get that tornado off. Wanted to ignore the Gnar because didn't think he could get the kill either way. Goes after the Vayne, but just a little too late.
Honestly, Joey was so slippery there evading all of that, but now Linsanity, the one in trouble, is hard, makes his move in the mid lane. The ulti, not quite enough damage. Oh, flash into the Winds of War, but they do not blow strong today, Mark.
I said this was going to be a fast-paced game, and already, despite it only being 2 kills in 10 minutes, there's been a ton of skirmishing going on. Very close there to get the kill. Linsanity played that nice to avoid dying. Had the cleanse well-timed with everything else to keep moving on back to his turret. And Mickey just barely missing final Winds of War for the kill.
And despite how much crazy stuff has happened this game, it's 100 gold apart.
Yeah.
Like,
pretty negligible.
Despite how much has been attempted, how much has succeeded, and even how much has failed, the teams are still neck and neck. So I like that, honestly, because that leads me to believe that they're going to keep trying even more of this crazy stuff, because any play could be the play that sets you out ahead.
Absolutely, and the most important thing out of all of this is where that first blood ended up on. It was Lulu, not the Vayne, which is pretty important. And then the second kill goes over to the Yasuo, who does have that potential to take over the matchup versus Gnar. So it's pretty cool to see that the gold on TLA kind of went to the right member, but 100 Thieves Academy missed getting the gold onto who they really wanted.
Well, they'll still be happy to grab that first blood. I mean, hey, some money on Lulu, it means you got a faster sight stone.
Oh, absolutely.
You can get yourself going a little bit. Of course, you would like to have it on
Wyann's happy about it.
Yeah, Wyann's like, sure, I'll take it. No problem. Viper still owning pretty much everything in topside. I mean, he's always going to have the tempo. He's always going to have the control. It's just the nature of the matchup, very hard to deal with for this Gnar. And you can see Viper just waits. As soon as those minions are out of the range of the turret, they're dead.
Absolutely. Kaizen just wants to keep this CS league close. Doesn't want to fall too far behind, and then hopefully in team fights you can become a bigger influence. But he's got the Galio to worry about here. In mini Gnar farm, no build-up.
They know that the Gnar had just dropped out of his mega form. There comes your Yasuo, knock up into the ulti, into the taunt from Mickey. Not really much of a chance for a mini Gnar in that one.
Really nice roam by Mickey. Doesn't need to commit the ultimate. Easier to get a dive off if you're actually wrapping around the backside and cutting off the escape versus ulting up there after it's already started. Does lose the mid control as a result, and 100 Thieves want to go down to the bot side to try and make a play on the opposite side of the map, but Hard is already covering it.
Yeah, Hard takes a whiff and something smells fishy in that jungle. He knows they're hanging out, knows they're looking. So he's not going to go any further right now. Just wanted to play it safe, not give up anything unnecessary, because he knows his top laner's now in a spot to take down first turret. And not just first turret with solo gold onto the Yasuo. Exactly where you want it.
That's where you want it. Also, Mickey had recalled out of top lane and was running down bottom to potentially get his ultimate to join in a dive if it was happening. So despite how it was the right move for 100 Thieves to posture a dive down the bot lane, it would have been a mistake to actually commit to it, given that TLA was reading it every step of the way.
Now, Viper almost gets that top lane tier 1, but he does back himself away beforehand, anticipating that he might have died if he stuck around. Kitsuo is hanging around that top part of the map. Was a distinct possibility. Viper will err on the side of caution. Go ahead and go back to base, pick up his Phantom Dancer. So first item completed on him. As Rikara going to be stunned up. The final hour invisibility will not protect him this time. Can they get the damage, though? A little bit more will do it. And your execute shot from Shoryu makes this a 3-1 game.
Nice play there by Hard, sneaking into the brush. And you saw the tumble come in for Rikara right as that ultimate came out, but just barely sniped him. And then after that, still kind of trying to run away. I believe his flash was down during the start of that fight. I think he would have flashed away otherwise.
That was a great read from Hard, if we're being honest. Yeah. Honestly, this was a little bit of a bummer for Viper because now he doesn't get that first blood solo gold for himself. He just has to get normal, boring solo gold.
Yeah, you don't need that. Shoryu, what are you guys doing? Give it to the Yasuo. And if you don't, the Yasuo is going to tilt.
Yeah, if you don't, me first turret or I int. Typical Yasuo gameplay chat.
Gotta get the mic check on this team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See exactly how the Yasuos are thinking, going inside the mind of the Yasuo, but going inside the mind of this team overall, they managed to get themselves a kill, a turret, and a Drake.
And here we'll take another look at this. Tornado goes a little wide. Shows, you see, he kind of understood that he shouldn't throw it at the Vayne. Kind of took a read on if he was going to roll right or left. Guesses correctly, snipes him out, gets the chase down kill, and couldn't quite see if Flash was up or not, but either way, goes down. Shoryu, like you said, that executing buster shot to get the kill.
All right, so now we got a game that was dead even, but has climbed up to a 2,000 gold lead for Team Liquid Academy, and those inconsistencies, those weaknesses we were talking about in the mid lane and the AD carry role from yesterday, I mean, they seem to be fixed, at least to a degree right now. You got a 500 gold lead there in the mid lane. You got a 500 gold lead in bottom. So these two that were having a bit of a rough time seem to be back in form.
Absolutely, and Galio in some sense is a great pick to be consistent on. It's hard to make big mistakes on Galio because you're so tanky. You have so much team map play mobility. He's just such a stable force in the mid lane, which is why it was so important at Worlds.
And with these outer turrets taken down, we're rolling more and more into the mid-game, Mark. We're getting towards that point where now we go for positioning. We go for lane assignments. We see who can eke out an edge in terms of macro. And this is where that Yasuo is going to be so content to hang out in the bottom lane, be that split pusher. Because what are they going to send against you, the Gnar? But meanwhile, topside, it's actually 100 Thieves Academy catching their opponents, doing the Rift Herald, swooping in, trying to steal this one away. But hard over the wall, thinking maybe he can secure it. It's actually Tristana that ends up getting it for his team, as now Kitsuo juggled around, beaten down, barely getting himself away. On to 3, Yasuo is there. Last breath, deep inhale, big exhale. Kitsuo gonna be chased down. Mickey drops to Kaizen. Kitsuo falls to Shoryu. Wyan likely gonna end up falling to Viper here, as the remainder of the 100 Thieves roster tries to get themselves away. Hot pursuit still from Team Liquid Academy. A lot of resources used. They will back away, but they get themselves a 2-for-1, and they take the Rift Herald.
A couple of comical interactions in that skirmish. First off, how the Rift Herald was actually taken down. I thought it was going to drop to one of the smites, but its eye opens up here as it's focusing on hitting 100 Thieves. So it turns around, and Tristana auto-attack breaks the eye. So just the way that they were doing it actually gives it over there. Mickey grabs it before ulting into this fight, and then Viper's coming along the backside, as is Kaizen, both top laners getting the flank off, and a ton of stopwatches results in people very low. Kaizen gets the cleanup onto the Galio. That's 1 kill down. Wyan's gonna die here to Viper. And then Shoryu jumps kind of far away. I was surprised not to see him jump more onto Kaizen to try and get that slowdown. But as a result, 2-for-1. And TLA leashes their own Rift Herald in a way.
Poor Kaizen, that's the problem with having the Gnar on your team sometimes, is if the fight doesn't start on your terms, if you're not starting it when you want to, your Gnar might be too tiny to have a good teleport into the fight, to have a good roam into the fight, which is what you saw there. I mean, what's a tiny Gnar supposed to do when Yasuo's ulting multiple people? He can't do a slam, he can't do a counterattack.
Absolutely, they were all in that choke point near that tri-brush. If he was Mega Gnar, that's potentially a disaster for Team Liquid Academy, but they know he's not, so they're willing to take that fight.
All right, here we go again. Kitsuo caught out, does not have the ability to cleanse this one away, but now it's going to be Mickey coming in with the grand entrance. Kitsuo trying to escape, but Yasuo cuts him down. Viper on a killing spree with that one, 3-0-2. Hope you guys are ready. You're going to be seeing some Yasuo in your solo queue games.
Yeah, just hope the enemy team doesn't pick. Don't hope your team picks Gnar. Just tell them not to pick.
Yeah. Don't pick Gnar.
And then if they still play Yasuo, great, he'll die.
Yeah. Don't give him this one matchup that he really wants. Rift Herald summoned in mid lane. We should get to see the proper use out of it here. Shelly walks up, honestly really close to start the headbutt channel, but Shelly's not too good about pathing around terrain. Don't need to path around terrain when you can just go through the enemy team, though. Mickey setting up and securing that kill onto the enemy support. Another Rift Herald charge here into the tier 2, and they might get a lot of value out of this one, pushing down not one, but 2 mid lane turrets. One more auto attack should do it, and you're going to see Shoryu grab that.
TLA trying to answer back, say C9's not the only dominant team down here in Academy League. Very impressive mid lane push there, grabbing 2 turrets and a kill. All off the back of that kind of split push pickoff that they were able to get with Viper. And it's really cool to see Team Liquid playing this very different style than you see out of most teams in Academy. They understand Viper is not your typical top laner. Don't just stick him on tanks. Play to his strengths and get Mickey some champions that can actually back up this Riven, this Yasuo player in the top lane.
And I honestly love that, because you said, Mark, at the very beginning of this draft, when Gnar was one of the first picks for 100 Thieves Academy, you're like, yeah, they know that Viper's a solo queue player. He likes to play all this like cheesy bruiser fighter 1v1 stuff. we're going to take Gnar into it because it works against most of it, but not all of it. Let's take another look at the fight mid.
Yeah, this is after they get that pick off. Rengar still dead, just slightly too far forward and no vision down the bot side of that map. So that Sejuani ult comes out of nowhere. Also, no flash still available for Lulu, so Wyon's going to drop just a little bit of extra gold for what was going to be a successful push anyways.
Now, Viper has his Frozen Mallet completed, which means if Kaizen ever goes anywhere near a minion wave at all, he is dead.
Yeah, most likely. If you're close enough to a turret, you can maybe still live, but if you're extended in the laning phase, that's a no-go.
Yeah, you go anywhere near the minions, he dashes through them all, just starts chopping at you, and considering every chop now has a slow, it's a really hard life for this Gnar. 153 to 180 CS, so lagging behind a little bit there. If you look at mid lane, 180 to 183, very similar. 180 to 184 on the bottom side, again, very close. But that top side is where you're going to see those differences start to manifest. The Yasuo split push just never stopping. Once that teleport is available, he can make his way into the fights through that method like we saw before, but he's 2,300 gold up. Such a massive part of this lead is that split push situation.
Yeah, he's huge over his direct lane opponent, and the next closest is at 7,000, so a 1,500 gold lead over whoever you're looking at. And as much as Bane against Yasuo can lead to some interesting 1v1s in the side lanes, I don't think Riccara wants to take them right now with how much stronger Viper is.
No, that just feels like a really bad decision to make, but now it's Ocean Drake time. Looks like Team Liquid Academy decided that 20 minutes into the game was about time to take that second Drake. They did secure the first one for themselves as well. Might as well grab this one too. Looks like number 3 will be an Ocean, spawning at around the 26.5-minute mark, but Kitsuo wants to work his way towards the top side. Maybe see if he can make something happen onto Shoryu here, but Shoryu easily getting himself away from that.
Kara trying to get some value out of this Vayne pick. Hasn't been great so far.
No.
And into the side of Team Liquid Academy. Oh, hold on, got a pick off going on the top side.
Flash over the wall from Joey, but the wall still cuts him off. He's trapped in the Baron pit. Nice aggro onto Baron to get some extra damage down onto TLA. That's one of the best things you can do, Mark. When somebody's trapped in the Baron pit, just make Baron mad.
Yeah, if only they could have got that big monster angry a little faster. He only got one hit in, but it was a nice idea. They also get the flash out of the Janna, so hopefully you can find another look at her later. That Rengar, able to lock Janna down pretty well. Does get blown back pretty easily, but hopefully you get some more follow-up from Talia, who can be pretty annoying for Janna because if you drop that ultimate, you just put yourself in an easy W position.
I mean, we're looking at a game that's 7,000 gold apart 21 minutes in. That's not GG, but that's really scary.
That's a rough game to try and come back from, given that their comp is pretty snowball-focused. Rengar, not a champion that's particularly productive from behind. Vayne the same way. So those are going to struggle. And then Gnar, who can be a better team fighter, well, your team's massively behind.
All right, well, they heard me say that it wasn't a guaranteed GG, but they want to make it that way very quickly, apparently. Going for the Baron, not bothering to attack the wards in the pit because that would give away the fact that they're doing the Baron. Over the wall is your Rengar. Wants to try to steal this one away. The 50-50 could do it, but it's not going to happen today. Baron goes the way of Team Liquid Academy. Over the wall they go. Now looking to find the fight. They grab a killing spree onto one, grabbing another kill onto the second. Mickey with the kill onto Kitsuo means they now have a 5 versus 3. They'll march up top lane or mid lane or wherever they damn well please. This map is theirs.
Absolutely. Now with the Baron buff, 2 down. Looks like they're going to pick mid and top at the same time. Shoryu getting this wave going while the other focus down the mid lane. And there's really no wave clear available once the Talia's down. Vayne is not particularly good at trying to walk up and clear those with auto attack, so they're going to very easily take this mid inhibitor and then probably meet up with Shoryu up on the top side.
This has gone from bad to worse for 100 Thieves Academy. Team Liquid has just run away with this game. 11,000 gold, 1 inhibitor, Baron buff on 5 members. It doesn't get much more difficult.
And instead, they're going to choose to recall right now, so we'll take a look at this replay. The Rengar was in range for it, tries to get the smite combo with the damage over the wall. Team Liquid was slowing the damage down until they saw him. Comes over at around 1,000, very close to getting it, 200 off. So it's pretty important that Team Liquid stop that damage. Second smite comes in, from hard, they get the Baron, and then it's just way too easy to chase down members on the side of 100 Thieves.
We're pretty much at the point of the game now where Team Liquid Academy, as long as they don't do anything just really, really like pants on head goofy, they've got this game on lock. Their lead is insurmountable. If you just move at your opponents carefully enough to not make critical mistakes, I think the game's over.
Game's pretty much over. Even if your pants are in your head, you're most likely going to have to leave them there for an extended period of time.
Couple slips up with pants on head, not the worst thing in the world right now for a team with this kind of a lead. 9-2. The turret count 6-0. There's still one tier 2 standing here in this bottom lane, but Viper, again, just happy to set up shop down here. Now that he bought the Cloak of Agility and has the completed Zeal Evolution, that puts Yasuo at 100% crit chance. That's all you need on this champ to always make sure you're critting.
And you see 100 Thieves Academy futilely trying to pick off Mickey in the mid lane, not able to do it, so they say, hey, let's go topside into Joey, assure you. Also not going to work out.
Yeah, going to be about as successful as you would expect. Linsanity nearly going to be taken down by Shoryu here. A couple more auto attacks would do it. The shielding comes through. Meanwhile, below them, Kitsuo nearly taken down. Mickey grabbing the damage onto him. The taunt comes out, finds its way onto Rikara, who's trying to kite away with the final hour, but Hard is there. He's got the CC. Joey ends up getting the kill of all people. That explosive charge not quite going to take down Wyan. He's the last man standing. He knows there's nothing he can do. The TP is used. This is honestly just formalities at this point. The Nexus just about ready to fall, and that will be it. Team Liquid Academy 13-2. Their final score, unless Wyan just decides to throw himself in the meat grinder. A very convincing performance to bring this team up to a 3-1 record.
Like we said, Team Liquid Academy trying to say, you're not the best necessarily. Cloud9, you have a better record. We might be a little bit more consistent, but when we're on our game, you better watch out because we're bringing a style different from everybody else in here.
And they look scary, too. I mean, we talked about, okay, you've got a guy who can test with Faker one day and then feeds the next day.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't feeding today. He looked good.
He looked really good, and I love the Galio pick for him. We talk about how if you're playing something like Azir and you're constantly going for Azir sex, which we kind of saw last week, sometimes those don't work out and you end up killing and feeding yourself. On Galio, if you E forward, it's still not that bad, all things considered.
Yeah, and we're talking about like the moments in this game that made everything work out. You're looking at how Team Liquid built this game that was a 13-2 finish and had a 15,000 gold lead, and part of it was fights like what we saw 15 minutes in at the Rift Herald, which honestly ended up kind of being interesting how they got it.
Yeah, it started off by TLA. They were forced off, and then they decided, you know what? No, let's actually contest this. So Mickey grabs that Rift Herald that they were able to steal away, goes forward. He's not super tanky yet, so he is dropping very low here, but he is setting up Viper to get a lot of damage down. So Viper's going to be able to chase through the backside of this fight. Kaizen's left in the middle. And Kitsuo dies there, and Kaizen was able to get a clean-up kill onto Mickey as he tried to leave, but Mickey had already done his job, already set his team up for success there, and that's very impressive to see, and I think the way that Team Liquid built their comp was really good. They were able to identify what the enemy team was going for when they saw the Gnar and Talia and instantly counteract it with the Galio, and then they also counterpicked the lane, so that idea is quickly out the window. And the Vayne pick is one that I don't love seeing into Galio just because of the zone that's created with that taunt. It's very difficult for a Vayne to walk up and threaten the Galio until that's down. And then even once it is, I mean, you have a hard time sticking to anybody in that team fight.
And when you look at what Team Liquid won, like that Rift Herald fight that we just saw, it's not just the fact that they were able to get the Rift Herald. I mean, we like to joke about, hey, you're going to do a meme Rift Herald where you just throw a bottom and it farms creeps, but that was the furthest thing from a meme Rift Herald. That Rift Herald is exactly how you want to use that objective. They go mid with it. They end up getting themselves a turret. They get themselves a second turret. They just use that perfectly to snowball the lead, and that's what I like so much about watching this game is just how clean it was, because Team Liquid Academy, they were rivaling Cloud9 Academy for how well you can put this game away and say, look, we're here to win. We're going to do it quickly. We're going to do it right.
And unfortunately, they do lose to Cloud9 a little bit, who was able to get the inhibitor at 19 minutes, so not quite as dominant, but I liked the style that they did it with. Great synergy between Mickey and Viper. Probably not what any combination anyone would have ever imagined in a million years. The solo queue, one-trick Riven player meeting up with an LCK veteran. It's very impressive to see.
A lot of fun to see for sure. Our final game of the day is coming up after the break. Be sure to stick around for that. The Golden Guardians face off against FlyQuest in just a few minutes. Don't you go anywhere.